Hi, this is Travis with another video for you today. Today the subject is going to be back, specifically rows and row variations that you can do at home. Rows are a little bit trickier as far as being able to do them easily at home, especially for those of you that are in smaller apartments and settings where you don't have like a pole or a pillar available. Because a lot of times if you can put a band around a pole, that makes it pretty easy. Obviously dumbbells and pull-up bars and that kind of thing can work as well. Some of you that don't mind putting a pull-up bar above a door, can definitely sometimes make that work. But today I want to show you a few variations you can do with some of these bands. I kind of alluded to a few of the variations in the overview video, so feel free to review that. And basically in that video, I just show how you can hook up some of these fat grips to some bands to do some different row variations. And so the first row I want to show you, I've got one of these super bands connected to two of the fat grips. And then what I also have is I have one of these hollow foam rollers. And again, the links to all this stuff is going to be below. So I like these because they're pretty solid in the center. And so you can just feed one of these bands right through this thing to give yourself a little cushion for your feet. Now, obviously, for those of you that don't mind wearing shoes in the house, you don't have to, this part certainly is optional, but I get it that, not everybody wants to wear shoes in the house. So this is just a nice cushion for your feet. And so that way I can now push, some pretty good pressure into this and I don't really feel anything. So this is kind of like a platform. It also helps to kind of keep a little more distance from me so I can keep a little more tension a little bit lower in the band. And so again, I can bring this thing closer to me or farther away depending on how much tension I want. And then from there, you just kind of lock that in and I can do a horizontal row, okay? So again, for a horizontal row, I keep my elbows fairly close to my sides and just pull them straight back. Now you don't want to be in here kind of shrugging, so make sure you're not doing this guy. Just kind of think about sitting, kind of tall, almost like you're getting your height measured, and then you just pull this guy straight back, okay? Now obviously if you had a pillar or a post you could put this around, you certainly can do this standing up as well. This is just a nice way you can do it kind of right from your living room. Okay, so that was the horizontal row, but there's really no reason why you have to dial it in to just one angle only. You can definitely play around with those angles, moving your elbows sort of, away from your body. So the horizontal again would be kind of here, mid would be sort of there, and a high row would be kind of to there. So take a hold of these handles, and again I could come a little more into that mid row, okay, or I can come up a little higher into the high row. Just try to not shrug too much on the high row, kind of keep the shoulders a little more down, but pull them back with your elbows, okay? And so that's one way to kind of play around with this row and get a little more versatility out of it. There's really no reason why you have to, always do straight sets. You can kind of mix and match. You could do horizontal and then kind of do a hybrid with, some other rows, or you could do all straight sets of one, pick another variation on a different day. As you start to move your elbows away from your body, getting more into those mid and high rows, those tend to be, a little more tension on those deltoid muscles. So, sometimes you might want to incorporate those variations a little more with your shoulder workouts if you're trying to emphasize that body part. Just know that the horizontal is a little easier. So, you may need a stronger band because you're going to be stronger in that position versus having a lighter band, where you can probably get into the high row a little bit easier. But then again, you can always keep that roll a little bit closer to you. So that way you're also going to have a little less tension at the bottom, but it'll allow you to get up higher a little more comfortably, okay? So you can always, play around with positions of your feet. So again, all the way outstretched would be the hardest, obviously. And then, you might be able to do the horizontal row there, maybe scoot it in a little bit, and then you could maybe get a little more into that high row if it was a little difficult for you to do that one straight. Okay, so now I want to put that together for you quickly just to show you an example of how you can do sort of what we call like a mechanical drop set, okay? And so typically what you're going to do is you're going to change the angles a little bit as you get more fatigued to make it a little bit more either difficult or easier. In this case, I'm going to start out with sort of the harder variation, and as the muscles get tired, I'm going to go to sort of the easier variation so that I can continue to go a little bit longer. And so what you can do is take the hold of these handles, and since the high row is one of the more difficult ones, I'm going to start there, okay? So I would do a high row until I feel like these muscles are getting pretty fatigued. Once they're at a gas, I kind of drop down into a mid row, okay? And then once those start running out of gas, then I'm going to go ahead and fall back into that horizontal row, okay? And then I would just burn that out until I was completely out of gas, and then I would be done, okay? And so that's an example of how you can kind of extend the life of a set a little bit there's some other advanced techniques, and you know, that certainly deserves a whole video and maybe more in and of itself. You know, some of the nuances of doing supersets and drop sets and all those types of things. But that was just one example of how you can do that. So for those of you who are a little more advanced, want a little more out of this, try that out and let me know what you think. And feel free to comment below. I'll put up the links to the products I was using at the bottom, and I hope you guys have some fun.